could dive deep into it or not, and you don't. We're happy.
But nobody can ever take away your love and your wisdom.
Welcome back, everybody. It's Dr. Jim.
Jody got it. How are you?
This is the Dr. Jim Jody Show.
Ooh, all right.
Yeah. So there's been a lot of craziness going on in this world, and some unfortunate events the past few days. So number one, I'd just like to acknowledge that. Number one, and thoughts and prayers go out to all the families and just to humanity in general. I would like to say. In the midst, go ahead.
No, and also to all of those heroes that showed up and gave people places to stay, and some of them lost their own lives protecting other people, and then all of your first responders and all of your military, and even your everyday person, homeless people are sharing their stuff with other people, so out of that, other people step up and look at that. So thank you for being those people.
Yeah, absolutely. In the midst, I was thinking about this recently, especially over the past, it's probably been like 2 to 3 weeks. It seems like there's just been overall darkness that's really come through. Now, I was like, is it really that way? Or is our energy and our focus mostly on what's going wrong rather than what's going right? And I was really questioning that because it's hard, I think a lot of conversations I've been having with people, and then I've been, and social media, I think, compounds and exponentially increases anything.
Right.
But I hardly ever see it used for the good. It's always like the negative things, like the media and the propaganda. We're bombarded with the media and all of these just negativity and drama that is going on in the way that they like to just shed the light on that side. Mm-hmm. So I was thinking, is it really that bad? And is it worse now than it was before? Or do we have so many means to express the things that are negative, and it flies around so quickly that that's all that we see?
I agree with that, and I also feel like we need to bring God back.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody is afraid. You need to have a higher source and get connected to that higher source and go into your prayer but then go back to what you're saying is it's BS. Quit reading all that stuff and focus on what's right rather than, just exploiting what's wrong, and I get that everybody has their free, right to speak whatever they want, but honestly, it's like you're giving oxygen to cancer and why?
Yeah. Everybody does have the right to voice their own opinion. Mm-hmm. That is absolutely. Yeah. I agree with that. I heard this the other day is, free speech, or if you're going to get along with free speech, then the freedom that comes along with speaking your mind, on the other side of that is the freedom to also listen or hear sometimes things that you don't necessarily want to hear.
True.
And I think that's like a huge part that's missing in conversation and dialect nowadays, especially with Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, because we're so used to being able to just put our point of view out. So you post something, you write it, and it's a very one-sided conversation, right? So you can say and voice your opinion for whatever that is, but we're lacking that face-to-face interaction. And I think the longer that we stay out of communicating face-to-face, and we're trapped behind technology, then when we actually do sit down to have a conversation, there's no tolerance for what the other person is. It's just like you're posting. You're consistently posting to each other.
And the other part of that is you don't know where their energy is at that moment. You don't know, their history. All you're doing is reading words, just
right.
Like when you read a book and then you go see a movie. It a lot of times isn't even the same as what you read in that book. So take things and step back a little bit on it and don't instantly react to them. It is big.
Yeah.
And I agree with you with the whole texting and social media and all of that. It's just it's a great tool, and it's really a great way to keep in contact with people. But I'm all about human touch and having that connection with people and those experiences, and that's not really an experience. That's just like reading the news, pretty much.
So if we're looking at that, what do we do in those moments? So we wake up, we hear some bad news, our devices are right in front of us. What are some things that we can do? I was just asking that, to stay away from that, to stay within ourselves, and get grounded within ourselves with whatever our emotions are at that time, before reacting and moving on to saying something, potentially even if we mean it the way that it lands, considering the way that it lands,
right?
Or maybe it's something that we didn't even want to say in the first place, but we just had the ability to, so we just
reacted.
Yeah.
Well, first off, is it for your higher good?
Right.
Really. I mean, honestly, when you're going to respond like that, is it for your higher good? And I'm just going back to our morning rituals, First off, don't look at that stuff for your first 45 minutes. So then you can go into prayer, you can go into meditation, you can eat a good breakfast, your blood sugar is stabilized, you feel good, you set your intentions and think about what you want to draw into life, instead of always being in that place of discernment, because then you wake up and you see that, and then you're in a place of discernment all day long. So you're like, oh, well, I don't know, maybe they meant this. And your intuition knows.
Yeah.
Just connect with your source and trust.
It's a good point, because I look back at the times that the day seemingly was chaotic, and it was I can always look back, and it's always those mornings that I either didn't get something done, or I woke up late, missed my alarm, whatever the story was, and started rushing through the day. So like everything was happening to me. Those are the days where you stub your toe, you drop your keys, you forget your books, whatever it is on your way.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of power in that, in preparing for the day, going through your ritual and making sure that your mind and your soul are at peace with whatever it is that you have to do through that day.
And not rush through it. If that means that you might be 5 minutes late to do something or whatever, don't rush through it. Like when you read your intentions in the morning, you say your prayers, don't be, okay. No, sit with it and absorb it for a moment, Somebody will wait, and then they'll be happier that you showed up being you rather than that person that everything's happening to, because you can choose your life and you can choose a lot of things, and a lot of it is just the way you respond to things too. Yeah.
And I think also knowing our audience.
Yeah.
Especially it's like whenever, it's not that you have to be cautious or guarded of what you say necessarily. You don't want anybody holding anything back, but it's also speaking to the level of the audience and where they're at. And I think there's different ways that you would speak to your dad than you would speak to me, or you'd speak to Katie differently than you'd speak to Sharice.
Right.
You know what I mean? There's different. You're gonna meet based on your relationship. Different tone, different discernment. And just the way that you interact.
Right.
And when we're on social media, we're speaking from one point of view, and a lot of times it's depending on where everybody else is at, the audience it's not landing like you were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
So it creates just this it can create this whole negative energy around it, where now all of a sudden everybody's attacking rather than trying to understand where that person came from.
I don't like talking on the phone, but I have found myself FaceTiming nonstop, because I can see the person, I understand their energy, I know where they're at. I was coaching someone the other day, and this person's very high level coach themselves. And when she asked me a question, I was like, oh, honey, and I did one of that, and she was like, don't me. And I was like, that's not what I meant. I was like, oh, honey, I really want to go into this explanation of it. And so we were able to have that conversation, because I saw her face, she saw my face, and what she was taking in was a past experience.
Yeah.
I landed it the wrong way to her, and so it was beautiful. We just cleared the air, and she's like, this is what I felt you said, and I was like, that's not what I meant, and it was nice. So if you're going to be on social media, do what's it called, lives? Do lives. You got an opinion, do live, so then they can see where you're coming from. I don't know, but I mean, there's a way to get around it. I'm really finding though that I am really enjoying the whole FaceTime part of it, or Is that what's called FaceTime?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that you can see the people and understand and see how it lands, you know, and you may be saying something on social media to a mom who doesn't even know if she has enough groceries in the house and her kids are running around like crazy, and then they see something like that and they're like, you don't know what it's like, you know, and then it lands a whole nother way, you know, or you were just trying to be inspirational, or you were trying to be an asshole, I don't know, but, you know, but just, you know, change it out a little bit, you know, and be kind. I mean, there's nothing wrong with being kind in the world, you know? Yeah.
I think that's just a big lesson where I think we should just really start to focus on, you know, what's good and encouraging and uplifting each other.
Yeah.
Because we can go through 99% of our day nowadays, and we can do everything seemingly right and be supportive, and then all of a sudden we make one statement or one post, and it's like you were just this evil person all day.
Right.
So I think sometimes nowadays we just gotta you know, really be tolerant and know our audience, and be more spreading and uplifting. If we have to vent, I think that's what a lot of things. If we have to vent, there's so much power in venting to someone that we care about and know about, because then we can ask those questions of where that's coming from, and really then dive into ourselves of where that emotion came from. Why were we feeling that way?
Well,
what were the things that led up to me feeling that way? And sometimes it's really not that big of a deal.
Like what you said, the last episode was digesting it. You know, as you have that conversation, then you sit back a little bit and you digest it, you know, and then you might look at it differently, rather than you put it on your phone and it goes on social media and then people are attacking you, and then you're going to digest it a whole different way.
Yeah. Just as much as like negative things as we see out there, there's so much positive and people doing so many amazing things.
I'm going to drop a little.
Yeah.
So I have a really, really dear friend. Hi, Jessica Haley. One of a sweetheart. So it started with, and she's going to be on the show, remember I messaged her the other day. Jessica lives in Miami, and so during the whole hurricane thing, she was sitting in the car for hours, and she didn't have any place to stay because nobody would take her and her pets. So she just threw it on Facebook. Anybody in this area can help. I need a place to stay tonight. Bombarded with people offering. All these other people got offered that were on her, like I have goosebumps, on her news feed, you know, saying, hey, if anybody, so all these people that were displaced got placed with their animals, and you know I'm crazy about animals, so that's like, if you tell me I can't come in your home because I can't bring my dogs, then I can't come in your home, you know. Then what is beautiful is she goes back to Miami, and here's where people started getting a little bit negative on it, is she found a lady at the store, and the lady couldn't get home. She came in, if I remember the story correctly, and she filmed it, the lady couldn't get home because she came there for her dad's funeral, and then the hurricane happened and all this stuff happened. So Jessica took the lady into her home, used her Southwest points, and sent the lady home on a flight, fed her, gave her food to go home with, you know, and Jess is really a healthy eater, so she packed her a healthy lunch, and the lady's like, I don't ever have enough money to eat like this, so thank you, I've been wanting to lose weight. Like, all these beautiful things happen, and it's just as a good person to begin with, but she threw it out there, and people helped her, and then she came back home, and she had the opportunity to help people, and you guys, if you just do good, good's gonna come back, and that's not the reason you do it, but she changed a life. People changed her life by giving her a place to stay, you know, so just be that person. Yeah.
And it doesn't take much.
No.
Right? No. Does it take much to smile, to open the door for somebody, to say thank you?
Yes.
Please.
I'm going to give you a little insight into this one here. I can't tell you how many times that we have been walking the streets of Chicago, and he will go into someplace and buy a homeless person a meal and sit down on the ground and eat with them and say, nobody eats alone, brother. I mean, that just, even there are days I want to be like this to him, and then I'm like, oh, thank you, you know, so, but what is $10 to you, really?
Right.
To sit there and make that human being feel like a loved human being.
Yeah.
You know, it's nothing, it really isn't, but it's everything to that person that you sit and you show compassion to and make them feel like they belong. So, yeah.
It's just all about creating that space, right? It doesn't have to be, you know, even for that long. Like, it was And yesterday was a good example with just everything going on. It was just a great reminder of, and unfortunately sometimes it takes tragedy or, dark things to, get us to realize the light that we have or how grateful we are. But it was just that one of those days that it went, just started picking up the phone, calling friends and family, just calling to say I love you. And it was just simple. There was nothing more, nothing less that needed to be said. And there was nothing else or nothing more that needed to be received. And it was just a simple, I love you, just calling to say I'm thinking about you. And it was, thank you, I love you too. And it was just complete.
Yeah.
Didn't have to fill it with fluff or nothing else. It was just sharing the moment right where we were at.
Yeah, it's crazy. I know a lot of people that got called out to go help in different situations in the last couple months, and thank you. Like seriously, I know you guys signed up for that stuff for your jobs, but thank you for real. So yeah, just be thankful, be in a place of gratitude, and there is mental illness. And I'm not saying what anybody did was right. There is mental illness, but there's a way to show dignity and grace and help others rather than going out and looting and doing all of that stuff. And I know that we don't attract that audience, but I know that sometimes we get really upset and we have things going on in our lives and these things happen, and it just draws us back, and we just need to show some dignity and grace because you don't know if tomorrow's going to be there. So just love everybody.
Yeah. Says my challenge or homework for everybody then would be, before, especially when it comes to social media, stay on this one today. Before, just take this on for like the next week or just few days. Before you post anything from like an opinion point of view, whether it be good or bad, try just sharing something like uplifting and inspirational first. And just see where that where that road takes you. I don't know if it'll do anything, but I know
it'll
just
make
like
you
to
feel
get,
good.
but yeah, you just get up and just whatever it is, just try to take on that coming from a supportive, comforting role, and make some sort of just like peaceful, loving statement. And then if you want to go on and say anything for the rest of the day, go for it. But just try that for your psyche.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Get up in the morning, look in the mirror, say you love yourself, you're ready to rock the day, and then post something good.
Yeah. I'm going to go on the flip side of that and allow yourself to receive it.
There you go.
So there you go, yin and yang. So, all right. Thank you
Perfect.
guys. Appreciate you.